Welcome all to another edition of the Book of Stephen podcast. I'm your host, Leroy Stephen, and today we'll be discussing holy expansion versus demonic expansion. And we will be discussing the juxtaposition between God's plan for expansion of his kingdom, which is not here or there, through Islamic territory according to the promise made to Abraham, and of course also the demonic American plan for expansion according to its foundation in history through Islamic territory. If you haven't noticed, America and the kingdom of heaven are doing the same things at the same time in the same place, but to different sides of the coin. One unto life and one unto complete destruction. So the kingdom of heaven unto life, and the imperial power that is America unto complete destruction for itself. Even though it plans and touches the Islamic territory in the name of destruction for it. You know, the Islamic territory, the sheep, the shepherd, and the feeding place. So I wanted to go through some simple premises that I've kind of come to realizations through the grace of God, and I wanted to kind of give you a picture of the differences in between Christian and Antichrist American expansion through Islamic territory today. So let's go ahead and let's discuss that, because this is very important. Because in reality, everybody is trying to do what something God did. All right. We are imitators. God is creator, originator. And whatever you see in the universe is some imitation, good or evil, of something that God has done. All right. You must realize that people are always trying to do something that God has done or is doing. We are imitators. And no matter if people are good or evil, they are in some way, shape, or form imitating God. At this point, America is doing an Antichrist imitation of the kingdom of heaven as it's trying to take hold of the Islamic civilization. Now, what I wanted to I pointed that out in a previous podcast called Ishmael Islam. But what I wanted to point out today is that both American expansion through Islamic territory and Christian expansion through true Christian expansion. Okay, remember, Jesus said concerning the type of imperialism that spreads through the gospel that he is sending you out like a sheep among wolves. Therefore, be as shrewd as snakes and as innocent as doves. Okay, so any type of Christian imperialism that is not wise and innocent is not Christian imperialism at all. The Crusades are not an example of Christian imperialism, according to Matthew 10 and 16. All right. But that being said, I wanted to show you how both Christian imperialism and American imperialism concerning Islam are foundational to the respective nations, the kingdom of heaven, and also America. And I wanted to get behind this premise of expansion for each one. So let's go ahead and let's get into this real quick. I want to first go into America's idea of expansion. Okay, why is Islam so important to it? And I wanted to start off with the first ever conflict in American history. The first ever foreign conflict in American history was against an Islamic group of, you could say, terrorists. Okay, so there's this idea in American war think that Islam is a hotbed or potential expansion point for America because it was in the past. Okay, the U.S. Navy, at one point the United States had the Continental Navy. The Paris Peace Treaty nullified that after the Revolutionary War, but the U.S. Navy was actually born during the Barbary Wars. And the Barbary Wars were wars that were fought against pirates from the Barbary states, seizing American merchant ships and holding the crews for ransom, demanding the U.S. pay tribute to Barbary rulers. Okay, that's why there's the Marine chant, from the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli. Now, if you don't understand, that is all about expansion. That's and manifest destiny. So essentially, that's westward expansion. The halls of Montezuma are the Battle of Chapultepec, okay? And then the shores of Tripoli, that's eastward expansion, okay? Those are the Barbary Wars, which were had on the shores of Tripoli. So the American idea of expansion is past the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli. That's world domination. That's what Marines chant out when they say that. Now, the American believes almost organically, because of his history, that the people in Muslim territories, it is easy for them to say, just like they think that black people are savages because of what the Declaration of Independence says and what the Constitution says, and also the Native American. All right, it says in the Declaration of Independence that the Native Americans are merciless savage. I believe in the Constitution, it says that black people are 2/3 of a person. White supremacy is based in a lot of its slogans, lexicons, songs at the foundation in the Constitution, Declaration of Independence, and in its history. Okay, you have to understand that. So the American idea of the Muslim is really tied to its first war that was had here on foreign shores, which was the Barbary Wars. Americans think of Muslims as tyrants, and only tyrants, found because of foundationally where the Muslim, or at least Muslims, stand with America. All right, or at least what happened in the Barbary territory. Okay, so basically, the American white supremacist think is that Muslims are corrupt and they are strongholds for terror, which threaten American economic progress. Okay, during the Barbary Wars, it was just that territory that could be said about, because that actually did happen. As a matter of fact, I think even though a lot of the things that happened during the Barbary territories were true, there was white enslavement. Okay, so I believe there were about 1 million white slaves taken within the territory of the I guess the Barbary territory, or just in that whole North African type territory. There was 1 million or so slaves, in contrast to about 12 million African slaves that were taken by the Europeans. So not only were Africans being enslaved en masse, and some Europeans, a lot of Europeans were enslaved. Well, not nearly as many. Let's not make the white man a victim. But nonetheless, this War History Online article, you can go and read about the enslavement of the whites during the Barbary Wars, and the sexual slavery and different things that went on there. But you can also go, hopefully you got that War History Online article link. You can see it right here in the video. But you can also go and you can get this book, Dawn Like Thunder. I haven't gotten it yet, but let's read the description here. Dawn Like Thunder, The Barbary Wars and the Birth of the U.S. Navy. First published in 1963, is a definitive account of the fledgling Navy and Marine Corps of the United States in the early 1800s. The book details the struggle of American ships such as the USS Constitution and Constellation against the pirates and Muslim warlords of the Mediterranean and North Africa in what would become known as the Barbary Wars. Also covered as key players of the time. There was another description of the book where they talked about what drove. Okay, here we go. I'm going to go right here. I'm going to go to this one. This is the one I was looking for, because this is the really good one to kind of drive my point home, and why, Islamic territory is seen as a point of expansion. Let's see, in the early 1800s, American ships on the coast of North Africa routinely found themselves as targets of Muslim pirates. These sea raiders, or corsairs as they were known, sought captives to enslave in Ottoman Empire's galleys, mines, and harems. When reports circulated of white Christians being shackled to oars, smashing rocks and mines, and being sold into sexual slavery, the American public became incensed. the leaders of the young republic were forced to act and with remarkable dexterity. So you see that this is where this idea in America is born out of. This is this whole first expansion of the American military. White people, even though this was true, the Barbary pirates, and I believe the Barbary territory was kind of victimizing American merchants. 400 years later, there's no justification for the type of actions that the Americans do in Muslim territories now in link to this. But this is the thought that's at the the basis of why America is trying to treats Islam like it is. Every time you hear about Islam, you hear about terror. It's because it's common knowledge that the U.S. military, or the foreign U.S. military presence that we had today, was born, in fact, out of the expansion that happened on the shores of Tripoli. The Treaty of Paris was progress in that the Continental Navy and America's manifest destiny past the North American continent was kind of stifled by that, and the Continental Navy was gone, and the United States sold all its warships. But terror and piracy in a distant Muslim territory allowed for the birth of the Navy and basically all the military activity abroad that you see today. That was born out of the Barbary Wars, okay? So the white man's idea for eastward expansion is rooted in the Barbary Wars, okay? And the fact your U.S. Navy was born out of that, okay? So the idea that Muslims are savage creatures whose governments are corrupt and who are hotbeds for terrorism. Listen, the Muslim civilization is 1,300 years old. This is something that happened in a small territory at a certain time in history. There's no justification to take 1,300 years of history and great civilizations and advancements in technology and all those types of things and minimize them to this one set of events. Okay? That's completely ridiculous. But that's what the American white supremacist mind does, is that it reduces Islam to this. This is what Islam is, and only this. They are just like the Native American is a merciless savage, because what the Declaration of Independence says, at the foundation of American history, okay? Just like black people are inhuman because what the Constitution said, all right? This is a continuing thing with white people. The document said it, so it is, and it always will be. So you have to understand that Americans' ideas of expansion and greatness for the military and for the nation, there's this great idea that, hey, if we can go, we did it once with Muslims, we could do it again. And if there is a battle with Muslim terrorists or pirates, we can expand our military, and not only our military, our territory. And that's a foundational idea to the American military and the American Republic. But let's read the book of Stephen here, okay? We have to gain an understanding that although America sees Islamic territory as a point of expansion, the American military is something that is doomed by God, according to his word, to be destroyed. So at the same time, there's this paranoid idea. This is much worse than during the Barbary Wars, okay? This paranoid idea that there's these Muslims that are against only Christians because they're Christians. Not, I mean, the piracy that went on within Barbary territories, was sorry, but I love my dog. She just be annoying. But anyway, the piracy within the Barbary territories was so it was let me reset here. The piracy that went on within the Barbary territories was definitely terrible, and I think it was wrongdoing. But it wasn't Islamic either. That's not what the Quran says to do. That was just corruption within that territory and within that scope at the time. Okay, that's no reason to think that. But the American white supremacist mind, like I said, from the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, is seized Islamic territory as this is not as the year old civilization and the people that are obedient to the Quran, but they're basically whatever interaction that was had with America at that time. So let's go to what God says about what will happen to the American army. So as the American Republic is thinking of using the Islamic Republic to expand, or as a point of expansion for its military and its republic, according to American history. Okay, I just showed you that this is foundational to the American history. That the military, if you go to a Muslim territory and you can conquer bad guys and terrorists, okay, then you can expand your military, your republic, and the presence of your merchants and everything. Like, everything will improve. Your commercial efforts, everything. All right. At the same time that's an idea, let's look at what the Lord told Stephen. The Lord came to Stephen. This is in 2008, December 5th. I will cripple all of her armies, and I will sink all of her navies, and no more missiles or bullets or any of man's weapons of warfare will be used to do any of these things. For with my word, which is brought about all things of the earth, I will make the most foul beast of destruction, and the mightiest warrior that the world has ever known to be no more. Her missiles will fire no more, and neither will the sound of her machine guns ring out anywhere and bring about terror anywhere in the world. There will be nothing left of her war machine. She shall do no war no more in her land, nor in any other. And any man from out of her who would raise his hands up in this thing in my land of peace, America, the blood that he sheds I will require of his own head, and I will have no mercy. Okay, I had to let the dog out the room. Sorry. She can be very annoying at times. Anyways, yes. So we see that at the same time, America is planning expansion. Now, if you haven't watched the rest of my podcast, go watch Silence of the Lambs, Destruction of the Feeding Place, all the different parts, where I was talking about how America planned to use the football stadium as the start of its expansion point through Islamic territory. So war at the football stadium by tearing the football stadium down. I told you that's where it started. Then I also went through how God was planning through me, the shepherd of the sheep, to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ peacefully and non-violently through the territory. Okay, so go watch all those podcasts to really get up on that idea. I broke that down in great depth. So the sheep, the shepherd, and the feeding place. The sheep are the Muslims. The shepherd is me, Stephen, and the feeding place is a football stadium. Okay, so boom. So at the same time, America is thinking about that. This is what God says about the armies and navies, and we also have to point to 2008. This is when this was proclaimed. Remember, that was the birth of America's demonic plot of war at the football stadium. Was in 2008. When Stephen was not at the football stadium at the time. So, boom, check that out. I will cripple all of our armies. So we're doing the same thing at the same times. Now, I've discussed foundationally the points in which, the American Republic is prone to try and use Islamic territory for expansion, and why. Okay, we understand that in American government think, which is sick and disgusting, that the Islamic territory is what? It's a point of expansion for the U.S. military in its activities. It was in the beginning, and now they think it is in the end. That's not the case. Okay? Let's let this be said, okay? Because I showed you that that's what America's plan is. But in actuality, America's war plan is actually its end. Its hardening towards expansion will actually be its complete destruction, although it really is planning the complete destruction of the Islamic territory. All right, so check that out. So America is planning for a new beginning of military excursions throughout the world, while God is planning for complete destruction of American military activity throughout the world. Okay, America and anything that's allied with it completely destroyed. Okay, so isn't that interesting? Is that America is thinking, now we see God's word here, but America's mind is thinking about expansion, while what it is expanding is a dragnet of iniquity, or a dragnet that will capture iniquity and lead to it being cast to the left and destroyed. Okay, isn't that disgusting? So where American military expansion started in Islamic territories, it will not be a new beginning. According to God's word, it will be an end. All right. So once again, juxtaposition: Antichrist, Christ. God says, "I will cripple all of her armies." America says, "Well, we're going to the sports stadiums. We're recruiting. We're getting all the kids. We're getting our allies together. We're expanding." Okay. Christ, Antichrist thought. Same train of thought, different results. Okay. So let's go ahead and talk about the foundation of this thought, that to me, Islam is a point of expansion for the kingdom of heaven. All right. Let's get into that. All right. And I can do that for you. I'll do it a little better through some more videos, but let's watch this one today. All right. Let's go ahead and get into this one right here. This is really good. Okay. The kingdom is supposed to go throughout the whole world. If you didn't know, not only did Jesus only told people to spread the gospel to the whole world as a expansion of what God told Abraham. So let's get into this. God told Abraham, "I will make you into a great nation. I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you, I will curse. And all the peoples on the earth will be blessed through you." Now, I'm not going to do a whole big specific breakdown of this, but every time "you" is said here, you, it's referring to Abraham, the nation that he becomes. Okay? So, Abraham begot Isaac. Isaac begot Jacob, who was called Israel. And that's really where this starts, because there was you. The first "you" is the tribe called Israel. The tribe called Israel became a nation at Mount Sinai. I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you. So after you becomes a great nation, the gospel only goes to nations. The blessing is the everlasting covenant. I will bless you, Israel. Israel is first in line to be blessed. When Israel is blessed, you is another transformation. Remember, all those that are obedient to the law, they live under a curse because they can't do all of it completely. So we have to understand that you, past this line, is no longer Israel. It's the kingdom of heaven. I will make the kingdom of heaven's name great, and you will be a blessing. We understand that to live under the law of Moses outside of the way Jesus taught the Jew is okay, because he was only sent to the Jew to lead them into the kingdom of heaven. All right. So if you live and are obedient to the Old Testament, you live under a curse. Cursed is all those that, hold on. Let's check this out. All those who rely on works of a law are under a curse. Okay? Galatians 3:10. If you live under the law of Moses, you are cursed. So that tells us that couldn't be Israel. Although Israel isn't necessarily cursed unless you just rely on the law. Okay? Because you can't do everything under the law, and therefore you are cursed. Okay? So I will make the kingdom of heaven's name great. You'll be a blessing. I will bless those who bless the kingdom of heaven, you. And whoever curses you, the kingdom of heaven, I will curse. And all the peoples on earth will be blessed through the kingdom of heaven, you. Okay? You can't be blessed through something that's cursed. So Israel is the first to be blessed, the first nation to be blessed, but it is not the blessing. Okay? The blessing is the everlasting covenant. All right? So foundationally here, we have the expansion of that's Galatians 3:10, everybody, where you can go and see that. But we have the expansion of the everlasting covenant or the gospel of Jesus Christ here in the foundation of the scripture in Genesis. Just like I was talking about expansion through Islamic territory and when American history is foundational, it's also foundational in your Bible. Right here at Genesis, at the beginning of God's promises to expand the blessing throughout the whole world, we have the fact that all the nations will be blessed through Abraham, all right, who continuously transformed until he became a great kingdom, all right. So let's go to this right here. I want to talk about Ishmael and the fact that he is due to receive the everlasting covenant for sure, unlike his brother Isaac, who received it first as a sign. So both Isaac and Ishmael are actually favored. Both of them are. Isaac because he was first. Ishmael because he's surely blessed. So Isaac's first. Isaac is the source, or the source of the blessing. But Ishmael, he is the one that will surely accept it because he was submitted. Okay, which is something that I'll make another video about that. Surely blessed, the transformations of you. I'll get into all these complex topics and we'll break them down very quickly. It only take 5 minutes per one. All right. So as for Ishmael, let's go to Genesis 17:20. As for Ishmael, I have heard you. I will surely bless him. I will make him fruitful and will greatly increase his numbers. He will be a father of 12 rulers, and I will make him into a great nation. Which is, now check this out. So with Isaac, we hear that with Abraham, who begot Isaac, who begot Jacob, whose name changed to Israel. All right. That's why this genealogy is relevant. So we can track the promise here. We can track it being passed down. All right. So let's get into this. So basically, with Isaac in Genesis 12, we hear that I will make you into a great nation, and then through you, all the nations of the earth will be blessed. So he's a nation first, and then he is blessed second. But with Ishmael, on the other hand, he's surely blessed. Okay? But then he is made to a great nation second. Now, that's not to say that that's the order of things, because Ishmael, the descendants of Ishmael, became a nation when they did receive the laws of God in the Quran from Muhammad, when Muhammad went up to the mountain, received the laws, and gave it to the descendants of Ishmael. Okay, so basically, while Isaac is promised to be blessed, made into a nation first, that's what God says, I'll make you a nation, I'll bless you. We hear immediately for Ishmael, I will surely bless him. Now, the fact that he's a nation, according to Genesis chapter 12, that tells me that he's already got to be blessed, right? We already discussed that, okay? But what the Lord showed me later was, because I thought it was a reinforcement of the idea. That's what I thought. But I thought, why is God saying the same thing twice? You going to make him into a nation. We all going to know you going to bless him. But surely blessed, that means that his descendants will receive it. Okay? That's the favor of God on Ishmael. So the favor of God on Isaac is that he's first to be blessed. The favor of God on Ishmael is that he'll surely be blessed. He's going to receive it. Why is that? Because of the way that God submit him through the laws of the Quran and through the way that he'll exist under a curse in the world. Okay, so he's going to be submitted in the wilderness, and he's going to do it. All right. So this is foundational. This is all in Genesis, that one day the kingdom of heaven would surely expand unto, the Islamic territory. You understand that? You guys get that? So just like American expansion through Islamic territory is foundational, and Americans have hope for it'll work, because that's the way the United States Army started. And white people in America, or Americans now, African Americans, Asian Americans, they all believe that shit. That the military is a basis of expansion and power. But we see foundationally that, you know, in the Bible, that the kingdom is going to surely expand through the Islamic territory and the promises made to Abraham. Now, this is why I wanted to say that the demonic expansion that America has planned will surely fail. All right, because there's something that we all know, guys. All right, the military is not a source of power. All right, it's a source of condemnation, because the 37th Psalm, I believe it's the 37th Psalm, I might be off, okay, tells us that who shall inherit the earth? The meek shall inherit the earth. It's on and popping, church. Even Jay-Z knows that shit, all right? Okay, guys? Even Jay-Z tell you that shit. Everybody knows that. Okay, so the meek shall inherit the earth. What are you, those that bend the bow? And what does it say here? Draw the sword, okay, to cast down the poor and the needy, and slay down such as be of the upright conversation. Their sword shall enter their own heart, and their bow shall be broken. So military and weapons and military knowledge is not a source of empowerment. It's a source of condemnation and doom. You put the gun in your hand and you go out to seek power, and you surely, according to the scriptures, will be destroyed. This is foundational. This can be found in the 37th Psalm. That's in the beginning of the book. Okay? So at the beginnings of American history, we see not paranoid, but an arrogant and nasty idea that, yes, through the weapon, this is how we will expand and become a great nation. Manifest destiny. That's all an idea. That's a thought pattern. That's not real. It's God's word is true. And in the beginning, we see that the descendants of Ishmael, they won't be destroyed. They aren't terrorists. They're in fact for sure, to be blessed. Okay? And to receive for sure. Unlike Isaac, who received it first. That was his favor. Ishmael is going to receive it and believe it. 95% of his descendants will definitely receive it. I don't know if they'll stick to it, but they probably should, because all they got to do is do what black people didn't. 4 generations to the promised land. All right, 4 generations to the kingdom, and they in there. That's all you got to do. It's an easy road. An easy road to the return of Christ. So here we go. Because my testimony will last 4 generations. So I don't know the day and the hour of Christ's return, but I know that much. So anyway, let's get this done here. So do you see the difference in the contrast between holy and unholy expansion? Unholy expansion is demonic expansion, is rooted in violence, the military, the weapon, and the idea of Muslim terror. That's why ISIS and Al Qaeda, none of that stuff is real. Okay, and I definitely know now that it's not real from watching different, warlords and mercenaries in the world. Most notably Liberia. They went to Liberia to talk to some of the warlords and mercenaries there. They wouldn't give their real names. General Butt Naked and the Tupac Army. General Biggie Smalls. This is what they would call themselves. Because even they had the sense to know if we use our real names, we can be taken to court and identified. Okay? Who's the dummy that would do something like that? That would do crimes out in the open, or murder or resistance out in the open, and use their real name? Nobody's doing that. It's extraordinarily ignorant. My name is Stephen. I'm from Afghanistan, and I blew up the towers in America. Come and get me, motherfuckers. So now you're going to come to Afghanistan and drop bombs on the country and endanger my family. That's complete nonsense. People in Liberia who are low level, warlords and gangsters, they don't do that. This idea of Muslim terror that they come up with is completely ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense at all. It's a complete lie. All right? So, but that's the reason for the lie. It's just like the racism versus black people. It's seen as a route to progress, prosperity. The white man lied about the humanity of the black man in order to enslave him and make himself rich for free labor. In the same way, the American, black, white, Asian, everybody that classifies themselves as American, they lie about the humanity of the Muslim for the purposes of expansion and manifest destiny, as I discussed with you today. So I hope that you've come to that understanding that the kingdom of heaven and the imperial power that America is are both doing the same thing at the same time, because good and evil really work the same way. Remember that the devil is only a servant of God. That's all he is. And everything that works in the universe is a reflection of God, even if it's a demonic imitation. Do you understand that? That's why all things work for the good of those that love God, because everything is actually working within God's will. Okay? So we see that the unholy idea of expansion is working in the same way as the holy idea of expansion. God is in control of everything. You may say he doesn't exist. You may say you don't believe in him, but why are you trying to do, whether you're working for the holy expansion or the unholy expansion through Islamic territory, why are you trying to do what he does? If you say he's not real, why are you imitating him? It's just an idea I came up with today. I just wanted to expose you guys to that. So I hope you guys have enjoyed that chapter of the book 7. That's holy expansion versus unholy expansion. I'll be going through the transformations of you in great detail in a video breakdown like this. Also, Ishmael being surely blessed will go in the book of Stephen. And when the Rising Sons book, we'll go through that too, and we'll see exactly how he's blessed. All right. So I hope you guys enjoyed that today. Hope you guys enjoyed another Book of Stephen podcast, and I'll be back to talk to you soon. Peace out.